This is Hooks and Runs, a podcast about baseball, music, and culture. Here are your hosts, Craig and Rex.
So we recorded this weekend.
How'd it go?
It went well, actually. I got all 4 songs done in 2 hours.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Where did y'all record?
Over at our producer's. He's got a little studio in his backyard.
That's cool. In the backyard, so y'all recorded outside?
No, it's in he's got a building out
Oh,
there.
a building. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. We'll look for it.
Yeah, it should be cool. I'll probably hear it tomorrow and see what it sounds like.
So I'm Craig. This is Rex. We are at Crazy Carl's Music Emporium,
Yes.
home of Hooks and Runs and Loose Helmet. Not really Loose Helmet.
No, not really. It's just mainly my guitar store.
The hangout spot. Yeah, that guitar store. Our guest for tonight called in sick.
Yeah.
So we're winging it a little bit. We're going to reschedule that one and juggle the calendar around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a few things to say. There was a major
trade
trade in the Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
The pattern has been, Rex, that these teams hold on, and then we will get to the trade deadline after the All-Star break. You start to see a lot of movement.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
Now's
have
the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get these guys while we
exactly. So the Boston Red Sox, who are struggling,
can.
traded Rafael Devers, their all-star third baseman, now designated hitter,
Mm-hmm.
to the San Francisco Giants, a team desperately in need of runs.
Right.
And they got in return, they got Kyle Harrison, a good prospect, a left-handed pitcher who does not really project well at Fenway with the short left field wall.
Okay.
They got Jordan Hicks, who has vastly underperformed expectations this year.
Hmm.
Probably one pitcher in the National League that was in dire need of a change of scenery. Whether Boston is going to be the fix, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Pitcher Jose Bello, a prospect, and right fielder James Tibbs, a prospect, neither of which is a top prospect.
Yeah.
So not a great haul for Boston in exchange for a elite level hitter.
But I from what I understand, there is a silver lining in this, and the fact that they've managed to pawn off the gigantic salary for this guy over to the Giants as well.
Well, there is that. The Red Sox signed Alex Bregman in the offseason for a nice chunk of change.
Mm-hmm.
They already had Trevor Story. But Devers is in, let me see, he's in, I don't know the year, but he signed in 24, so he's in the second year of a 10-year, $313.5 million contract that takes him out to 2033 and age, what would that be, 37?
Okay.
But again, this is a really good ball player, a really solid hitter. He's just not a very strong defensive player, so the question is, do you really want to spend $30 million a year on a designated hitter?
It did kind of strike me as strange that you're going to spend that much money. You already got a third baseman. You're going to get another third baseman. I understand you need hits, but I mean,
I don't know that there's
a lot of money for that.
There's no one out there on the trade block, at least that I can see, in the short term, until like Rafael Devers when it comes to run production.
Right.
You're right. The Giants, like the Red Sox, have a third baseman that they signed in the offseason. Matt Chapman, I believe they signed him at the end of the season last year.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Chapman had a resurgent year with the Giants last year and has played well this year. He's on the injured list right now, will not be there long. And so the Giants most likely will play Devers at third until Chapman comes back. Chapman is by far he's a Gold Glove level third baseman compared to Devers, who's probably below average at the position. So Chapman will go back to third. Devers will go to DH, and the current Giant DH, Wilmer Flores, who leads the team in RBIs, will go to first base, which sounds good, except he's not really a first baseman.
Right.
But
that's the hole they have, so they got to fill it.
That's what they're trying to get to. They're trying to get to somebody that can play first base, and that seems to be the path right now. Now, they're not going to leave Flores' bat out of the lineup.
No, definitely not.
Flores could probably – the hole in the lineup right now is shortstop, Willie Adames, but he has a big contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that Wilmer Flores at his age is ready to take on that position. I think he came up as a shortstop, but is not going to be playing there on a regular basis. So That's the plan in San Francisco. They need to fill a hole in the pitching staff, although filling Jordan Hicks' spot won't be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Kyle Harrison is a definite loss for them. I only talk about this because, the Giants and the Dodgers and your Padres
Oh, yeah.
are neck and neck.
Yes, sir.
Neck and neck. And Red Sox fans are unhappy. The Red Sox have traded Chris Sale, last year's National League Cy Young Award winner.
Mm-hmm.
They traded Mookie Betts, the all-star shortstop now for the Dodgers, and don't have a ton to show for these trades, and they're not expected to have a ton to show for this one, although they freed up some money. Boston fans are not at all happy with this trade.
You think that's what's really going on here? We're trying to free up some money. Got ourselves a little
think-
too deep financially.
No, I don't think so. The Red Sox have plenty of money. It's one of the most expensive tickets in the league. It's a smaller park. They've got a huge media market, a great following nationwide with the ballpark and all that. They're not hurting for money. I think Devers did not really like the Bregman signing. He grumbled on his way to the DH position at his young age. And when they asked him to play first after Tristan Casas went down, he wouldn't do it.
Okay.
And he said, I can't learn first base on the fly during the season. I get that.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that.
But I think that they just took that the wrong way and found an opportunity and found a team that desperately needs another bat in the lineup.
Right.
So this will be that. So I don't know. I think the West is going to be wild until the Padres fade. But even then, it always happens. It always happens.
I know.
It always happens. It always happens.
Maybe
so
not this year, though.
Maybe not. You could be right. The Astros are red hot. Jeremy Pena is killing it for the Astros. They've won. They're 21-10 going into tonight's game in their last 31 games. So we'll see how that plays out. That's kind of it for baseball. I don't know what It's getting into the hottest part of the year, and the teams will start rising and falling.
Mm-hmm.
The Rockies have won a few games. Not that they're playing well enough that we can't stop making fun of them or have to stop making fun of them. But baseball just rolls on every day. So, Rex, this week we're filling in the gap with a project that I've worked on for a while, the Clout or an Out Club.
Okay. Tell us a little about
The Clout or an Out Club. There are 3 players, all of recent vintage, in Major League history that have hit more than 1 home run in their careers and have no other hits.
That's it.
That's it.
So they got up to the plate, they hit a home run, and never hit the ball
Well, in some
again.
cases, they came up to the plate more than that. I mean, these aren't. It's not that their only plate appearance was a home run, but their only hits were home runs.
Huh. Okay.
And so we're going to look at the 3 players. I think it's an interesting collection. It's a little odd. It's a little bit of a deep dive into some players that just got a little bit of a taste of Major League Baseball. Sort of like the Jason Lane phenomenon we did with the pitchers that were at over 10 innings but an ERA of under 1.
Right.
And there were more of them than there are of this group. But let's start with the ones that have 2 home runs and 2 career hits, beginning with Nolan Fontana, who played parts of 2 seasons for the Los Angeles Angels, 2016-2017.
Okay.
He was born in Florida, played at the University of Florida. This was really fascinating to me. As a freshman, he hit 287. As a sophomore, he hit 289. As a junior, he hit 284. Now, that's consistency.
Right. That's tight numbers there.
That's rare consistency. His home runs went up. He played pretty much every game that the Florida Gators played each year. He was drafted in the 2nd round of the 2012 amateur draft by the Astros, signed for $875,000, according to Baseball Cube and Spot Track. So, nice little chunk of change.
Yeah.
Coming out of the University of Florida.
Especially coming right out of college.
Yeah, exactly. Opened in Lexington and hit 225. But when they've invested nearly $1 million into you, they're not going to cut you on that.
Yeah, right.
So he comes back the next year to Lancaster in the California League in 2013. They move him up, and this is a hitter-friendly league. Fontana hit 259 with 8 home runs and 102 walks. His batting average is below the league average of 273 and the team's average of 283. So all of a sudden, he's 2 years into his career,
and he's not doing as well.
Not hitting up to league standards.
not even up to his standards at
yeah.
this point.
Yeah, his slugging percentage is below the team average, and so is the and the league average. So the next year, though, undeterred, the Astros move him up. He goes to Double-A.
Hey, not the Astros.
Now, in fairness, the Astros.
Oh, okay.
In fairness, he is a good fielder. He's a very good fielder. So, but you got to be Superman in the field to overcome these averages so far.
Right.
He hits. He only played 66 games. He broke his pinky finger. I've got to say that these baseball injuries, sometimes the way they describe them, make baseball players seem a little wimpy. I would say just he broke his finger. You don't have to say it's the pinky.
Yeah. But, I mean, you think about it, that's probably the easiest one to break,
It is
especially
easy.
playing ball,
Yeah.
you know?
He broke it fielding a ground ball and missed half the season. But he hit 262, had 1 home run, and came back the next year at age 25 at Triple-A, keep moving him up to Fresno. He hit 241 with 3 home runs. This is a little noteworthy. He stole 6 bases in 17 attempts.
All right. Not bad.
So 6 successful, 11 thrown out. That's not very solid.
No, it's not.
He returned to Fresno in 2016. He hits 195 with 3 home runs in 106 games. And he also was demoted during the season to Double-A. So now he's getting up there in age as far as prospects go. He's hitting below 200,
That's
and
not
he
good.
gets waived. And the Los Angeles Dodgers claim him. And he goes to spring training in 2016, has a great spring, hits 315 with a home run. He's on the same team as Albert Pujols. And he goes to Triple-A, Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And for the first 38 games, he hits 265 with a 374 on base and 426 slugging, 5 home runs in 38 games. So he's really kind of picked up the pace. I guess waiving him got his attention.
Yo, I mean, you know, your career's about to be over, boy. You better start producing, you know?
Exactly. Hitting 195 is not going to get you where you want to go.
That's going to get you on the benches.
So he's made a turn. He's producing. So he gets called up, and he makes his major league debut on May 22nd, 2017, in a 3-2 Angel win over Tampa. He was 0-for-3 with a strikeout and lifted for a pinch hitter in the 9th. The next day, he was 0-for-2 and lifted in the 7th inning. He had a pinch hitting appearance on May 24th. So going into the games of May 25th, he's 0-for-6. In that game on the 26th, he's on the bench with the Angels facing Miami. The Angels were trailing 8-3 with 1 out in the top of the 9th when Fontana, who came in as a defensive replacement in the 8th, comes to bat against Kyle Barraclough. And the count goes to 2-2. Barraclough delivers a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and Fontana hits it 410 feet into the right center field for a home run. His
Nice.
first major league hit.
There you go.
So, big question that I could not find the answer to: did he get the ball? You know, it's a tradition when you get your
Yeah,
first major
right.
league hit to
Right.
get the ball. They'll stop everything, and if it's a single, they'll relay the ball in.
That's the one the fans can't keep because this is.
No, I don't know. I don't know what the rule is on that. Now they do usually give them, something.
Yeah.
So Fontana goes 0-for-4 the next day. He goes 0-for-3 on the 28th, and on the 29th, he goes 0-for-4. So now he's 1-for-18, and after the game, he goes back to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
They called him back up in September. He made 4 appearances and went 2 at-bats without a hit. So he finishes the year 1-for-20, back
Not
to his
good.
old ways a little bit. So
Yeah.
he goes 1-for-11 in spring training. He goes to Salt Lake that year, but gets a quick recall when second baseman Ian Kinsler goes down with a shoulder fatigue early in the season during the second game. That's a little early to go down with shoulder fatigue. He goes to the big league club on June the 8th. On the 13th, they're at Seattle. The Angels are at Seattle. He's an early inning replacement for Zach Cosart, who gets injured during the game. And in the 7th inning, Fontana comes to the plate and hits a Chasen Bradford sinker to the opposite field for a home run.
There you go.
So that's 2 hits, 2 home runs after a day off. He starts the opening game in the series at Oakland. He goes 0-for-3 with a walk and a strikeout. The next day, he's back in Salt Lake City.
Yeah. So we got a guy here who's, he starts out really good, kind of doesn't make it in the big leagues, but keeps getting called back in and getting second chances because people keep getting hurt.
People keep getting hurt. He's got enough defensive juice to come in and play, but he's really struggling at the plate. He's just got the 2 home runs, and that's it.
See, that's kind of something that blows my mind. He didn't get any base hits or anything like that. He just straight up 2 home runs, and that was it.
That was his only hits.
So when he hits hard.
When he gets back to Salt Lake, he suffers an injury. He only played 45 games that season, and in September 16th, the Angels released him. And on December of 2018, he signs with the Texas Rangers. Fontana was hitting 167 in 34 games at AAA Nashville when he was released. And that was the end of the road for Nolan Fontana's baseball career.
Yeah.
He was a .230 hitter in 407 minor league games and over 1,300 at-bats. I think that's AAA games, actually. That's his AAA average is what I should have wrote down. He ends his major league career with 20 games played, 2 hits, 31 at-bats, an .065 average, but 2 home runs.
I guess that's what counts, right?
So, classic case of a prospect. He probably gets bumped up too quick.
Yeah.
And
But then, you look at some of the stuff down there at the lower leagues. He really wasn't starting to do too well there. So
I don't know if another year in Lexington would have helped. I don't know if another year in Lancaster would have helped. He probably could have used the confidence of being held back at one of those stops. Maybe Corpus, maybe not so quick to AAA, but he's a prospect in Houston. He's got a good glove, and they're going to move him up. And and a lot of times in baseball, it's keep up or get out.
Yeah, they don't have time to cover you. So
so they're not going to send you. They're not unless you're just an organizational type player. We're going to see one of those in a minute. You're going to have to move up or move out.
Right.
So next is a very unusual case. John Gant played for Atlanta, St. Louis, and Minnesota, 2016 to 2021. Immediately, Rex, you go 6 years.
That's
in
some
the
time,
major
man.
leagues.
Yeah.
He's a pitcher. Born in Savannah, Georgia in 1992, drafted by the Mets in the 21st round out of Wiregrass High School in Wesley Chapel, Florida. He signed for $185,000. That sounds a little generous to me for a 21st round pick, but he was committed to college at Long Island. I guess the Mets had the money.
Yeah, and he's got other plans too. So
Right. You can give me what I'm wanting here, or you can let me go to Long Island and pitch in whatever league that is. Gant reports to the Mets. He goes 8.1 innings as a kid fresh out of high school. In rookie ball, he has a 6.48 ERA. He splits time in 2012 between one dreadful start at Savannah in the Sally League and 11 starts for Kingsport in the rookie league, Appalachian League.
Okay.
His combined ERA is 4.98, so he's off to kind of a slow start. In 2013, he returns, though, to short season rookie ball, this time in Brooklyn in the New York Penn League. 13 starts at 3.77 ERA. Now we're going somewhere.
Now we're getting better.
Now we're going somewhere. At 21, he returns to Savannah in 2014 and has an 11-5 record with a stellar 2.56 ERA in 21 starts. 2015, he opens in St. Lucie. Florida State League, has a 1.79 ERA in 6 starts, moves on to Binghamton in the Eastern League, struggles, and on July
start to slip.
Yeah, and he's moving up pretty quick here. And on July 24, 2015, the Mets trade him to Atlanta in a 4-player deal. He kind of turns it around at Double-A, 1.99 ERA at Mississippi.
Nice.
The next year, he goes to camp with the Braves and makes the Major League team. He debuts on April 6th at home against Washington, pitches a perfect 9th inning in a loss. He was up and down with Atlanta in 2016, appearing in 20 games with 7 starts, a 4.96 ERA, and he was 0 for 7 at the plate. The next season, Atlanta trades Gant to St. Louis. He split time between AAA Memphis and St. Louis. As a pitcher, he had a 4.67 ERA in 17 innings with the Cardinals. He was 6 for 21 with the Memphis Redbirds, but he was 0 for 3 with the Cardinals, so now he's 0 for 10 as a major leaguer. In 2018, he spent most of the year with St. Louis. On August 14th, Gant is the starting pitcher for the Cardinals at home against the Nationals. Gant came up in the second inning with 2 outs and Colton Wong on first base. The Cardinals were ahead 1-0. Gant works the count to 1-1. Gio Gonzalez for Washington chunks in an 89-mile-an-hour fastball, and Gant deposits it over the left field wall for a 2-run home run.
Nice.
His first major league hit.
That's a good one for it.
That's a good one, yeah. Now, keep in mind, for most of his stay in the minor leagues, he's not ever hitting.
Right.
Only at Memphis does he start to get some at-bats. 2 weeks later, August 30th at home against the Pirates, Gant again takes the mound. He was in the on-deck circle when Harrison Bader broke a scoreless tie with a home run off Pirate pitcher Joe Musgrove in the second inning. Gant came up and worked the count to 2-1. Gant hit Musgrove's fastball 411 feet over the left center field wall, becoming the first player in Major League history to hit 2 home runs and not having reached base any other way.
Wow.
That's pretty
He
crazy.
never made it any other.
No other way. At this point, he hasn't been on. He's run the bases. He's never stayed on a base.
Yeah, you never hit to first or second. You just home run or nothing, man.
He made 4 more starts to finish the year, 2 for 31 at the plate with a 0.65 average. But more importantly, he had a 3.47 ERA in 114 innings pitched, so he's on his way with the Cardinals. The next season, he gets moved to the bullpen and has a phenomenal season for the Cardinals, going 11-1 with 3 saves and a 3.66 ERA in 66 innings. But as a relief pitcher, you don't get many shots at the bat.
Right. And that's really what's keeping this from happening.
Exactly. 2020, the COVID-shortened season, Gant makes 17 appearances, 15 innings pitched, no at-bats. He did have 3 at-bats as a reliever in 2019. Struck out twice and hit a fly ball just shy of the warning track against Milwaukee. So now he comes into the 21 season, 2 for 44, a 0.45 ERA. He opens the season with the Cardinals pitching out of the pen, and he had a 3.42 ERA in 76 innings. He's 0 for 13 when he's traded to Minnesota. Gant does not bat in Minnesota due to the designated hitter.
Right.
He struggled on the mound with the Twins. He had a 1-5 record and a 5.61 ERA, a career worst.
Ouch.
After the season, he was outrighted off of the 40-man roster. Gant refused the assignment and became a free agent. He signed with the Nippon Ham Fighters in Japan, but he did not pitch in 2022 or 23 due to an injury, and he was released in July of 23.
So he didn't play much in Japan
Didn't play at all.
Okay.
Made a couple of minor league appearances there. Then he comes home and signs with the independent Long Island Ducks in 2025. So he didn't pitch in 24 either. He made 4 starts with the Ducks earlier this year, going 2-1 with a 1.71 ERA in 21 innings. May 15th, 2025, the Kansas City Royals have purchased John Gant's contract. And through June 14th, Gant has made 4 starts for the Royals' AAA team in Omaha, the Storm Chasers. He has a 5.51 ERA in 16.1 innings.
Yeah, not looking good for him.
Gant has earned over $5 million in his Major League Baseball career, according to Baseball Reference.
Hey, there's that.
He is, exactly, that's not bad. He's 2 for 57 with a 0.35 average. Both hits were home runs, and he remains the only player in Major League Baseball history to hit 2 home runs and not reach base any other way, and that's just remarkable. He never got a walk, never reached on an error.
Well, that's crazy.
Nothing.
I mean, it sounds like he's still got a chance to, change this.
He does. He's in his 30s. He's in
Yeah.
his 30s, and he probably needs a little time, more time,
Well, if he's
obviously,
in his
at Omaha.
30s, he's probably not going to make it back up.
Pitchers have a way of finding their way if they get people out.
Yeah, that's true.
And now the most interesting case of them all, I think, Keith McDonald, St. Louis Cardinals. He was born in Yokosuka, Japan.
Army
Have
boy.
you been to Yokosuka?
No,
Matt
I have
Rex?
not. No. I have never been to Japan. I don't know why you keep
I
thinking
don't know why
I've been
you
to
keep
Japan.
telling me that. You're bound to have been to Japan. There's no way I'm believing you have not been to Japan. He grew up in Anaheim, though, where he became a catcher growing up. He attended community college, then the University of Utah, and then Pepperdine. So he moved around in his college days, drafted by St. Louis in the 24th round in 1994. He began his professional career hitting in .246 in Johnson City, and he worked his way slowly up the ladder. He was finally, by 1997, in Double-A Arkansas, hitting .240 with 5 home runs. In 1998, he had .318, which is really good, 7 home runs, and only 170 at-bats for Triple-A Memphis. But you look at those at-bats and that batting average,
Yeah.
and what it tells me is he's not the best defensive catcher going.
Right.
You got a catcher that hits .318. If he's got some defensive skills, he's going to be out there as much as possible.
Right.
In 1999, he hit .304, splitting time between Double-A and Triple-A. He was hitting .240 at Memphis when the Cardinal backup catcher Eli Marrero injured his left thumb which is a little more dignified than injuring your pinky finger.
I guess so. Yeah, it's still a finger.
Yeah.
But,
McDonald got the call up on July 4th for a home game against the Cincinnati Reds. The game was a laugher, 13-3 going into the Cardinal 8th. Manager Tony La Russa sent McDonald in to pinch hit for Edgar Renteria. Red pitcher Andy Larkin blew 2 strikes past McDonald. McDonald fouled off the next pitch and then took 2 balls. The next pitch, McDonald caught flush. He hit it 382 feet into the left field bleachers for a solo home run. After the game, McDonald said when he saw the ball clear the bleachers, he just made sure he touched every base.
he was riding that
He
high.
was he was very nervous he was going to miss a base or something. In this case, we do know from newspaper reports that the ball was thrown back onto the field and delivered to McDonald in the dugout.
That's cool.
That is cool. 2 days later, July 6th, McDonald got his next appearance and first major league start at home against the Reds. McDonald led off the second inning with Cincinnati leading 3-2. Red pitcher Osvaldo Fernandez threw the first pitch out of the zone for ball 1. McDonald launched the next pitch into the left field bleachers for a second home run in his second plate appearance.
That's awesome. So I like this guy,
You bet. The home run made McDonald only the second player in Major League Baseball history to hit a home run in his first 2 big league at bats.
That's got to be a
That's when you
confidence
think,
boost right
there's
there,
nothing
man.
to this.
There's nothing. I got this.
There's nothing to this. I just need to be here all along.
Yeah.
The other was Bob Neiman of the St. Louis Browns, who accomplished the feat on September 14th, 1951, when he hit 2 home runs in his first 2 major league at-bats, both off Boston Red Sox southpaw Mickey McDermott. McDonald appeared as a late-inning pinch hitter or replacement on the 8th and 13th of July. On July 15th, playing at the White Sox, McDonald came to pinch hit in the top of the 9th with St. Louis losing the game 15-5. There were 2 outs and a runner on first. McDonald got ahead 3 balls and 1 strike off White Sox pitcher Jesus Pena. McDonald belted that 3-1 pitch into the left field bleachers for his 3rd home run. The guy is 3 for 7. After the game, he had 1 more at bat and he flew out. He's 3 for 7 with a .429 batting average, a .556 on base percentage because he's drawn 2 walks, and an absurd 1.714 slugging percentage. His OPS is 2.270. This guy's leaving Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Babe Ruth in the dust.
Yeah, that's it. He's like going to be the next big thing, but you've never heard of him, so obviously he's not.
Something happens. The Cardinals did not play McDonald the next 5 games, and keep in mind he's the other catcher. The starting catcher.
He's the backup catcher. Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, so the starter has to go every single. So on the 21st, though, they send McDonald back to Memphis. Now, here's the deal. They had 2 catchers in Memphis. They had McDonald, who was kind of an organizational guy by now, and they had Rick Wilkins, who had played many years in the major leagues, was trying to come back. Wilkins was not hitting in AAA, but Wilkins has a lot of experience handling a major league game. I didn't mention it, but in the 1 game McDonald started, the Reds beat the Cardinals 12-5. So what happens here is La Russa is not confident in McDonald behind the plate for a major league game.
Right.
So they can't afford to carry him as a pinch hitter. They need a guy that can come in and spell the starter.
He's got to be able to
once
do
in a
both
while.
jobs.
Yeah, got to do both jobs. So back he goes to Memphis. He hits .263 with 5 home runs for the season. The next year, McDonald hit .261 with 11 home runs in 94 games behind the dish at Memphis. He got a late season call-up and 2 at-bats, a ground-out and a strikeout. The ground-out was a double play ball. Those would be McDonald's last big league at-bats. In 2002, he hit .270 with 12 home runs in 81 games in AAA. The next season, now at age 30, he's catching for Iowa in the Cubs organization. He hit .239 with 14 home runs, a career high. He played out the string in the Padre, Ranger, and Yankee chain the next 3 seasons. The Yankees released him on April 24th, 2006, bringing his playing days to an end. In the major leagues, Keith McDonald was 3 for 9 with a .455 on-base percentage and a 1.333 slugging percentage. But what derailed the career was his catching skills.
Yeah.
La Russa just did not have faith in him behind the plate. And as I mentioned, he gave up 12 runs in the 1 game he started. That's a bitter pill, but in those days, The Cardinals were serious contenders and needed a veteran who could handle.
They just couldn't afford to take the
Exactly.
risk on him.
Couldn't take the risk. He'll always be remembered for hitting a home run in his first 2 Major League plate appearances and for getting 3 hits as a big leaguer, each one a home run.
There you go, man.
He gets mentioned on a podcast.
Yeah, you know,
All
history,
the-
man.
All these years
History.
later, yeah. So anyway, three guys that definitely have stories to tell.
Absolutely.
As
Could
they-
dine out on that for years.
Exactly. There's so many guys that never get to the major leagues to get there and then do something dramatic like that. If you're going to have a short career, you want to have something.
Yeah, you know, if I'm going to have that short of a career, at least I want to set a record.
Yeah, have something to
Yeah,
fall
something,
back on.
yeah. My footnote in baseball history right there.
There you go. So, Rex, it was a tough week for music fans.
Man, yes, it was. And I got a feeling it's going to keep going.
It is.
Yeah.
Sly Stone on June the 9th passed away at age 82. Sly Stone from Denton, Texas, a legend.
That blew my mind.
Yeah.
I did not realize he was from Denton. That's kind of funny.
I knew that. Yeah, he's he was something else. He had so many great songs in the late '60s into the mid to later '70s. Such a memorable presence. I mean, I was kind of a fan in those days. He had some AM radio hits. If You Want Me to Stay
Okay.
was one of my favorite songs when it was on AM radio as a kid, and just a really talented musician, multi-instrumentalist, creative songwriter.
I get I mean, I appreciate the concept of the band and everything like that, but it was never something I listened to. It was never something I was
Yeah.
into.
By the time you were coming of age to pay attention to music, he was really kind of a.
He'd
kind of
already faded away,
He was faded
yeah.
away and really fell
I
hard.
mean, he was still putting out albums, but
Yeah.
at that point, no one was listening.
Yeah, no one was listening, and he became known more for some personal issues and personal problems
Yeah.
than what he was able to do musically. And then I think 2 or 3 days later, Brian Wilson, the backbone of the Beach Boys.
Yeah, and now this is somebody I did grow up with. You
Right.
know, I mean, I grew up listening to the Beach Boys. I have a lot of their records in the house. You know,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
I was never a big fan, but I was fascinated by the story of the Beach Boys and particularly Brian Wilson.
He was
And
kind of
how
a weird cat.
Well,
wasn't he?
apparently the Wilsons brothers' dad was a real piece of work.
Yeah,
Uh,
I heard that.
And left a really hard mark on them as far as mentally. I don't want to say he was.
They had
maybe
that family band thing. Yeah, I mean, we all know the story
kinda
from
like
the
the
Jacksons and
Jacksons.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just want to say, you know,
Yeah.
the patriarch of the family driving the musical children way too far, way too
Yeah.
fast.
So, but
They always end up getting weird towards the end because of that.
yeah, so Wilson's troubles are pretty well documented. We don't need to go into them here, but I
No.
think one thing that's really interesting is a lot of people don't know that the Beach Boys were really 2 acts, 2 bands. They were
Yeah.
a touring band that would go out and play the hits, while Brian Wilson and the Wrecking Crew stayed in the studio, and Wilson wrote, and then they played the hits. So a lot of those.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
Because it was a different band that recorded and wrote
Right,
everything
yeah.
versus
Well, Wilson did most of the writing and arranging. He
Yeah.
was kind of the
he's
musical
nerve center of that whole
nerve,
band.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that was kind of an interesting thing. The whole Beach Boys melodrama of the last 20, 30 years is really, I'm kind of been over that a long time.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's no reason to rehash
Yeah.
people's personal problems.
yeah, exactly. But Rex, there's so many of these musicians that are now in their 80s.
Like, especially, you know, I'm going to say, you know, for your generation and all the way into mine now at this point, you know, there are a lot of really big name, household name rock stars and stuff, or musicians and stuff that they're not going to be around very much longer. This is going to be what I hate to call the great die-off.
Well, yeah, it's you don't want to be too morbid about it, but the facts of the matter are, you know, the number of people that live now. It is true that the longer you live, the longer your life expectancy, and it seems kind of funny to say, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. I hope the Coop is going to be immortal, but you know, he's a really old dude now. Alice
Yeah.
is old.
Yeah, so these guys are getting up there, and I just think it's going to be, you know, really sad for people who, you know, a lot of people were just major Beach Boys fans, and maybe not so much for Sly Stone, but when Sly Stone passes away, you know, all of the social media, all of the news, all these iconic performances playing these wonderful songs that people remember, it all brings it right back.
Now, I
And,
mean, while I didn't know Sly's music so well, Sly Stone and the Family Band and all that stuff. I
Right.
really wasn't into him and stuff. I do appreciate what they gave birth to because they
Oh,
really
yeah.
kind of opened the door
Yeah.
for funk.
Yeah,
and
that was
I have a
real-
dark
yeah.
secret love of funk.
Sly Stone and Parliament
Yeah,
were kind
yeah.
of the leading that charge, and Sly Stone was kind of a bit of a Prince figure before Prince. Prince probably more talented, probably more multi-instrumental,
But
more
I don't know.
productive.
I mean, yes, and Prince touched those things, but Sly really had a way of talking to the everyman in the context of his time,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's what really made him.
I think
who
he
was.
wrote more personally relatable songs. So Everyday People is something that's really relatable. Thank you for letting me be myself again is one that's really relatable to people on a very, very visceral level.
Absolutely.
You know, I was a kid when Sly Stone was at the peak of his powers. I'm definitely,
Oh yeah.
you know, like everybody else on the planet, or at least in the Western Hemisphere, know the Beach Boys story, or at least a good part of it. So, but yeah, all of the Rolling Stones are in their 80s. Well, Ron Wood, I think, is not quite there yet. Bob Dylan is 84. I mean, people that I've really followed closely through the years.
It's crazy too. Cause
It's crazy.
well,
And they're still playing.
It puts it in perspective too, because my dad's 82.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow.
I don't know, man. Some of these guys, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I mean, they're still going.
They're still going.
It was like I
mean,
mentioned the Coop earlier, man. Have you seen any live footage of this guy?
lately.
He's
No.
late 70s. He's still out there.
Mick
Just,
Jagger runs around like he's
I know.
40. It's crazy.
what drugs are these people on? Where do I get some?
I think it's that they're not. I think that's where I think that's where they're beating the odds.
I don't know,
I think
man.
that's where
I
they're
don't
beating the
know.
odds. I really do. So, anyway, I don't know if this is going to work, Rex, but we're going to try it. If it doesn't work, you, the listener, will never know. But I was on eBay and found you can buy.
I'm kind of excited about this
you
segment.
can buy baseball cards galore on eBay. So I bought a pack of 4 baseball cards. So Rex is going to choose one and open it, and
Let's go for the blue one.
and then we're going to see who's in there and see
what
if
we
I know
got.
any of these guys. So these are all from the 1980s. I don't know anything about them.
Top Spring Fever.
Here we
Baseball.
go.
Let's see what we got under 1989. All right.
That's a good year.
It's got it all heavily
That's
wrapped
the
up
year
in-
of the Earthquake World Series.
Oh my God! It's still got the bubble gum in it.
Do not eat the bubble gum.
You know. I bet it tastes exactly like it did when it was brand new.
A lot of chemicals involved.
Hey, check it out, man. We might be able to win a trip to the 1990 spring training.
It came with the time machine. You can win.
Dude.
Wouldn't that be awesome if you could
Oh
win
my
a,
God! If there's the golden ticket,
You
in
win
here,
a time machine, but it only goes to 1990.
and only to spring training. But hey, man, I'm down. Let's go.
That's right. Absolutely.
All right, let's see what we got in here. All right. Doug Jennings from the Athletics, the Oakland A's.
Doug Jennings. Doug Jennings, I don't know anything about this guy. He's a left-hander. Looks like he's playing first base. And he gets a baseball card. He has 101 career at-bats, a career 297 hitter. No, that's his slugging. Where's his average?
He doesn't even know how to read baseball cards anymore.
A career. Nobody puts the slugging percentage before the batting average. What are they doing
tops,
here?
man.
Yeah, he's playing for the Athletics and first baseman. I don't think he played much more than this. I don't know this name at all. But Doug Jennings is our first ever card reveal on Hooks and Runs.
German Jimenez playing for the Atlanta Braves.
German Jimenez. He's a lefty from Santiago, Mexico. He pitched just the one season. I think it's,
Oh wow!
they've got
Really?
one season, guys. He pitched the one season. He was 1-6 for the Atlanta Braves, a 5.01 ERA. He gets a baseball card at 89, but no time in the majors.
Oh wow! Okay, so here's an interesting one. Here's a first-round draft pick for the Astros, Willie Ansley.
I got a Willie Ainsley story. So Willie Ainsley, I don't think ever played in the majors, to be honest with you.
But he's got a card.
Yeah, he was actually a very good football player at Plainview High School. He was recruited and signed to play football for running back for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Okay.
But it didn't work out for him. And it didn't work out with the Astros either. The Astros drafted him pretty high. I don't remember exactly where they drafted him, like number 15. And but he I'm pretty sure never played in the majors, and I am right. He got as high as Triple-A Tucson in 1993, hit 262, but from there he went to Mexico. But here's my Willie Ansley story. So I'm coaching a bunch of young kids
Okay.
and looking for prep tournaments for our Little League or whatever, Babe Ruth tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a guy in Houston who, a friend of mine, who had a son around that age and played baseball. So I called him and I said, hey, y'all, looking for him. He said, y'all can play us. So we go play them, and they beat us because they're from Houston.
Right,
We're from
yeah.
Bay City. So, but it was decent games. But the coach that those parents hired to coach their kids was Willie Ansley.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool.
So that's my Willie Ansley story. I'm 0 for 2 coaching against Willie Ansley.
There you go. So next up, we got Herm Winningham from the Cincinnati Reds.
Herm the Germ. This guy traveled around a lot. He was a center fielder, kind of a speed guy. Switch hitter, as I recall. Is that right? Let me see. No, he was a left-handed batter. He had already played for the Mets and the Expos and was now with Cincinnati. He went on to play with Boston 1 year. He had a 9-year career. Stole 105 bases. Kind of a fast guy, but didn't steal a ton of bases. He only played really as a regular 1 year, 1987 with Montreal, but he hit 239, and it's hard to keep a job at 239
Yeah, I imagine so.
as an outfielder.
Next up, we got Pedro Guerrero from the St. Louis Cardinals.
Pedro Guerrero was a machine, a great hitter. Started his career with the Dodgers, played there about 10 years. I got a Pedro Guerrero story, too,
Oh, nice.
from my fantasy league in 1985. I'll never forget this. The second year of our fantasy league, I traded Ron Darling for Pedro Guerrero. I thought I had solved all of my hitting woes from the previous season.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 weeks later, right before the season began, or right after the season began, I'm looking for the year. Okay. This is 1986. We get about a month into the season, and he tears up his leg. And so I got like 60
no.
at-bats from him.
No.
He came back. He had a really good career. He probably had 300 home runs. Played first and third base. Played until 1992. He's kind of on the back end of the career here. I was not even close. 215 home runs. A 300 batting average, though. So a
There
really
you go.
good 5-time All-Star. Played it for the Dodgers in the 81 World Series.
So next up, we got Jack McCone, manager card from the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, for the Padres. Doesn't he look like a manager?
yeah.
He looks like a manager who's like, what do you mean he's not warmed up yet? The pitcher out there is getting killed. Get this guy
Well, he's
loose.
in there now.
Get this guy loose. Yeah, Jack McKeon, I think is how you say his name, but Brex is flying blind here because I don't think he was a baseball fan in 1989.
No, 1989. No, absolutely
Yeah.
not.
McKeon won who was he a World Series with? He won a World Series for somebody. Oh, he won the World Series with Florida in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So
then-
he was still around.
Yeah, he was still around. He was a pretty good manager. He won the pennant with. I love in Baseball Reference they tell you how many times they were ejected. He had a lot of years where he finished first, second, third. He was had 2 really bad years, but he let's see, with the Pirates, he had a winning record, which is pretty good because the Pirates, not the Pirates, the Padres in those
Padres.
days were not that good, but he did well with them, well enough to get 3 years with them.
So next up is Steve Rosenberg with the White Sox.
I have no idea who this is.
He's a pitcher.
He is a pitcher, number 61. He played 33 games his rookie year in 1988 and had a 4.30 ERA, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was
That's
it
probably
for him.
it right
That
there.
was it for him. I have no idea who that is.
That's okay. One time I found a baseball card that was my stepfather's cousin, and it was kind of funny because he never realized his cousin played baseball.
Rosenberg in 1989 was 4-13 with a 4.94. He finished his career 6-15 with a 4.94. So hey, he made the majors and he got a Topps card. So that's like
There you go, man. You got a Topps card. You're on top of the
You're
world.
on top of the world.
Mark
Absolutely.
Portugal from the Twins.
He later pitched with the Astros, a really good pitcher. I mean, I think this was one of those guys you just plug him in to the number 3 spot in your rotation. I don't know that he did anything that special in his career. He might have been an all-star once. He was not. But with Houston, he was 52-30 with a 3.34 ERA, pitching in the Astrodome in the 90s. So I was 18-4 in 1993 and finished sixth in Cy Young voting. So nice little career for Mark Portugal. I think he would definitely be on the my last name is a country team.
Well, obviously, Portugal being a country.
Al Holland was a pitcher. I'm trying to think if I know any others.
Well, here it is, Craig. Here's the entry form. So we can win our 1990 spring training camp. And apparently, if we flip it over, we can spend $20 and buy a sweatshirt.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, here's the deal. If you get a rerun next week, you know what happened, right?
Yeah, right.
We're in the time machine.
But we'll come back with some cool stories. So next up is Dave Dravecki from the Giants.
Oh, Dave Dravecki.
Dravecki, there you go.
Dave Dravecki is actually, remember Cousin Wolf, who we had on?
Yeah.
Okay. He did the album 9 Innings, and one of them is Dave Dravecki. One of the songs is called Dave Dravecki.
Well, it's a shame this card is such a bad print because you can see it like it's not even fully printed out. That's a shame.
Yeah, so Dave Dravecki was a left-handed pitcher, a really good one, pitched mostly for the Padres and then the Giants. I think that's all he pitched for, actually. And Dravecki got, man, I'm flying blind here, but I think he got cancer or had some condition in his pitching arm. And toward the end of his career, maybe in 89, 88, because he only pitched 7 games. So it would be 88. And so he had treatment and came back with the Giants. It was a big comeback story in 1989. And he was pitching and his last major league game, and he threw a pitch and his arm just almost like shattered.
Oh, wow.
And it was a horrible accident. He screamed out in pain. And I think his arm was amputated. We'll have that in the show notes.
Serious?
Yeah, he ended up having his arm amputated because of whatever it was, and I think it was cancer. But, man, am I making this up as I go along. I'm thinking I remember it right, though. Look in the show notes. We're going to do that. We'll also link Cousin Wolf's record because he just finished it.
Yeah, because we had him look it up. I'm going to look it up now.
Yeah, we didn't have him on. We had him on back in 2021. Cousin Wolf, a musician from the Northwest, Seattle or something like that. And one of his songs is about Dave Dravecki and his arm issues and how, what happened to him. But really an inspirational story and a tragic story, and it became an inspirational story because Dravecki has done wonderful things with his life.
Right on.
And he's still alive, 69 years old, lives in Ohio.
There you go.
No, I don't know where he lives. He was born in Ohio.
So next up we got David Wells, from the pitcher from the Blue Jays.
David Wells. This is another interesting guy. There's a story about David Wells and Babe Ruth when he was pitching for the Yankees later, I think.
Really?
I don't know if he wanted to wear that number or something, but Wells was very young in this picture. He's only pitched a couple of years with Toronto, but he ended up pitching for Detroit. He had a really good season with New York. He kind of was a late bloomer. He had an 18-4 record in 98 at age 35, then 17-10, then 20-8. Those last 2 are with Toronto. Then he came back to New York at age 39, was 19-7. Age 40 was 15-7. For a guy that was never known for being, like I would say, Captain Fitness, he pitched a long time. But what's the Babe Ruth story? He had something to do with a uniform or something. David Wells in 1997 was wearing a hat that had been worn by Babe Ruth. I don't know what the controversy was over that, but it was pretty funny at the time because at the time, David Wells was up in years and kind of had the Babe Ruth, late era Babe Ruth physique.
Oh, yeah.
1997, he was 34, not that old. But I'll tell you, David Wells, did he get any Hall of Fame votes? A 3-time All-Star, 2-time World Series winner. He was a playoff MVP. He had a pretty good career, definitely a long career. Like I said, 239 wins.
Now I'm going to butcher this, but next up is Pirates Andy Van Slyke.
Oh, you had it. You had it. Andy Van Slyke, this was a phenomenal player. Really talented, great athlete. He started with the Cardinals, ended up with the Pirates, and then he kind of journeyed around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the end of the day, although I would never really accuse him of this, I think his career was maybe a slight disappointment. But he had his best years with Pittsburgh on those teams in the 80s and 90s when Barry Bonds was really young.
Okay. Back when he was human size?
Yeah, exactly. Probably his best year in 91. I think the Pirates won the East that year. 3-time Gold Glove winner. He was a great player. I mean, you would definitely take Andy Van Slyke on your team every day of the week.
Okay.
In the late 80s and the early 90s. He was a really top player.
We got Bob Welch from the Athletics.
Bob Welch, a Cy Young winner. He won 20. I think he's the last pitcher in Major League in the majors to win 27 games, which he did after 1988 because it's not on his card here.
Mm-hmm.
Longtime Dodger pitcher in 80, the year they knocked off the Astros. He was 14-9. But yeah, he had that great season. I want to say 92. I'm going to look real quick, but I may be kind of off here. He won 211 games. I was 2 years off. 1990, he was 27-6. The last pitcher to win 27 games. 211 and 146 for his career, a 3.47 ERA. Sometimes gets mentioned as a Hall of Fame candidate, maybe a little short on the totals, but you would definitely be happy with him.
Detroit Tigers pitcher Doyle Alexander.
Doyle Alexander is the answer to a great baseball trivia question. Who did the Atlanta Braves trade in 1987 to get John Smoltz? What old pitcher did they trade
Old pitcher.
to the contending Detroit Tigers to get the prospect and future? Well, did he win 300? Close, because he did some time as a relief pitcher, so maybe he was short of that. But Hall of Fame pitcher, and it's Doyle Alexander.
There you go.
And Doyle Alexander did what the Tigers wanted him to do in 1987. He had a 1.83 ERA in 11 starts. But over the years, as Doyle Alexander retired, like maybe 2 years later, this trade looked worse and worse and worse and worse for the Tigers as Smoltz won Cy Young Awards and won 20-game seasons. And
one of those,
was the anchor, one of the 3 anchors of the Brave staff for a decade or more. So Doyle Alexander, man,
you're going to love this next one. So we continue with the manager card. Here's Astros Hal Lanier.
Hal Lanier he played shortstop for the Astros, I think. I'm probably wrong about that. I think I'm thinking of Bob Lillis. He did not play for the Astros. Played most of his career with the Giants, was a shortstop, a light-hitting shortstop. He hit, this is back in the day when you could hit 231, 213, 206, 228, 231, and keep your job as a shortstop. So he definitely a manager, but he was an Astro manager in I guess he did not follow Bill Verdon. We'll have a long errata section.
There you go. There you go. And the last one, unfortunately, has been damaged by the bubblegum stick, but it's Astros Alan Ashby.
Long time catcher for the Astros. Started in the Toronto, he probably got drafted in the expansion draft. Started in the Indians in '73, then the Blue Jays in the expansion draft. Then a long-time catcher for the Astros. Switch hitter, decent hitter for the Astros, above average game manager. I don't know. Out of this group, I think the best pitcher was probably Bob Welch.
Okay.
And the best hitter, I got to say, Andy Van Slyke. Am I missing somebody from earlier?
Probably not.
No. Maybe Guerrero. I'd have to. That's a close one. With Andy Van Slyke, you get a better defensive player at a tougher defensive position, center field.
Needless to say, an interesting pack to open up, though.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is kind of cool.
Well, I love that we get a Cousin Wolf player. There's not that many from the 80s you can get. But anyway, there you go. I don't know. We got 3 more. I don't know how long it's going to take us to get around to opening them. But
we'll do it eventually.
A walk through memory lane. And, Rex, I'm going to have fun at the World Series. How many people are opening 1989 cards getting a shot at this this All-Star game, not World Series?
Yeah, the All-Star game. I mean, absolutely.
I think it'll be fun. We've been talking about for 3 years going to Mexico. I think this will be more fun.
This will be more fun going back in time. But, hey, until then, let's feed this bubble gum to Victor and see what happens.
I'm with you. Thank you for listening to Hooks and Runs. We appreciate our listeners, and we'll be back next week with another episode. Take care.
This has been Hooks and Runs, a podcast about baseball, music, and culture. Please look to the show notes for links to the topics discussed in this episode. Hooks and Runs will be back next Thursday. We hope to see you then. Thank you for listening.